Welcome to the Feminist Spark podcast. This is a podcast run by feminists in Kenya where we discuss feminism with an African lens. In this series, we will be analyzing gender-based violence, its causes, effects, and how we can work to eliminate it from our societies. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the conversation, and feel free to join in by liking, sharing, and leaving a comment. Hello and welcome to the Feminist Spark podcast, a podcast by feminists in Kenya where we discuss all aspects of feminism, especially on the African continent. I am your host, Njahira Gitahi, and today I am joined by Marylize Biubwa. Thank you so much, Marylize, for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. As you heard, my name is Marylize Biubwa. I'm a human rights activist, human rights defender, and I like to say I'm a Black, queer, radical, angry, intersectional feminist. And all of that comes with everything that you could ever think about. And so, yeah, happy to be here and happy to speak about feminism and probably piss off some men. Who knows?
I love that. And I guess when we're having this conversation, it will also be important to inject that anger. There's much use in anger in the feminist movement, which we do not make enough use of. So for today's episode, we will be discussing the Manosphere, Incel culture, and the right-wing movements and how those are contributing to gender-based violence on the continent of Africa and specifically in Kenya. So to start us off, Marylize, I'd like to ask you, how in your experience as a human rights defender have you seen the Manosphere and the Incel movement manifesting themselves in the Kenyan context? Would you say Kenyans are imbibing imported ideas? Would you say that they're growing locally, or is it like a secret third thing?
I think there's a blend of both the imported ideologies and local ideologies. The imported ideologies come from the aspect of, first of all, red pill content. I don't know who sat and decided men deserve microphones to speak about women and women issues and women bodies. I do not know who decided that, but that has a blend of both imported ideologies, but also just the fact that men always feel entitled to speak about women. And so in the African context, it would be, and I find it funny when people say, women like gossiping, men don't like gossiping, but that's not true. Men like gossiping. If you think of simple cultures like Two for the Road, it's basically men saying, let's meet and, I got some tea for you, And the whole time, see, a woman is supposed to be at home, preparing a meal for that same man who is gossiping first before he comes home, And so that culture that has been embedded, that normally men don't talk much, but really men talk, except the one thing that they're supposed to talk to, they don't talk about their feelings and emotions. They sit and talk about everything else except what they're going through, what they're feeling and all that. And so there is a huge percentage of that. And then I think how it has also manifested, especially now in Africa, which is funny to hear, the whole idea of male loneliness.
The male loneliness epidemic. It's an epidemic.
I don't call it an epidemic because there's no epidemic. First and foremost, how is it possible that the same people who, through red pill content, are coming online to speak loudly, boldly, bravely, with so much bravado how they hate women, are the same people complaining about being lonely? In what world is it normal for you to interact normally with a person you hate? Of course, the interaction is going to go low. And then also it's happening in a time where, feminism has become a bigger talk. People are not falling for propaganda anymore, where some couple of years back when you speak about feminism, men would just chime in and say feminism is men-hating. But what women and feminists in general have done is have gone, read about it, written about it, talked about it. And now not everyone is falling into the trap of believing feminism is about men hating. And then also the flip side of it is, if you are women hating, why is it wrong for women to do Manhattan?
And women, human beings, according to the Manosphere,
I don't think
debatable.
So.
Yeah.
They don't think we are human beings.
Yeah.
They think we're just like, hate to use this reference, but I'm talking as if I'm a man right now. They look at women and they think of them as flowers. They're supposed to be there for their pleasure and they're supposed to wither quickly. They're supposed to be gone. Like, these flowers, if I come next week, regardless of what magic they use to take care of them, these flowers next week, apart from one, probably because it dries down
one,
the purple
one,
one,
the purple,
and the green one, the rest will be dead.
Yes.
And most of the time, men think of women like that.
Yeah, that's
you were supposed to be here for a good time, not a long time.
A good time for them, not for yourself.
No, not for yourself, for them. Again, it's about them. This is me talking as a man sees a woman and thinks a good time, not a long time. Come, we do what we want. Even like the whole conversation about purity culture, how a woman is supposed to serve herself for her husband, but men are supposed to have a lot of experience when they're married. Where are you getting the experience from?
Yeah, the disposable women.
See, so who is disposable and who isn't? Because isn't that the same woman you want to marry?
That's the Madonna-whore complex. There are two types of women. You're either the Madonna or you're a whore.
But so then when you bring to them the analogy of, can men at least sleep with each other then? So
that's homosexual.
And then they become mad. Because then, where are you expecting to get a woman who has never had sex, but you want to have had sex with 20 women before marriage?
I also saw a conversation online recently. There's a 24-year-old Ugandan woman who was talking about how she recently got her tubes tied. And the anger towards her getting her tubes tied was that she will be having sex without consequences. Meaning that she'll be having sex for pleasure, meaning that there isn't the possibility of, being saddled with that child.
They hate that.
Yeah.
They hate that.
You're not supposed to enjoy.
They hate finding out. Personally, mine is because, of course, I was sick. And so that is a different conversation altogether. And I'm a lesbian, so I've always had sex for pleasure. So I have a couple of privileges that I walk around with. But even from time to time, the people who get pissed about the fact that I walk around without a uterus.
Yeah. How dare you?
Is literally, how dare you?
We can't trap you.
We can't trap you. If we do something harmful to you, maybe you will speak about sexual violence, rape, but you'll never have evidence of what we did to you. How dare you? And I'm like, how dare you be entitled to my body like that? What do you mean?
It's literally an entitlement to your body.
And men get offended. It's the same way men get offended when, like conversations generally about women, and especially lesbians, and men will get offended that we've lost another one.
Yeah.
But in the true sense of the word, even if I wasn't a lesbian, I probably would never meet you. You would never meet me. You would never date me. But somehow, because I'm a lesbian, you feel like you've lost something. How?
It's a collective loss.
What have you lost?
Yeah. The patriarchy has lost.
There is still a lot of women, and the fact that men treat sex as a very scarce thing is so weird to me.
I wanted also to correlate with these new conversations that we're hearing across the continent about family values in Ghana, recently in Senegal, for the past few years also in Kenya and in Uganda. And how do you think, even though it's a completely separate movement, because it hinges itself on family values, how do you see the connectivity between the family values movement and the Manosphere and the Red Pill movement?
Oh, there is a big connection. First of all, as a universe, we have departed from what family is. And I say this because, one, we've seen the rise of men wanting DNAs to know if they're raising the kids. While we grew up in homes where mothers would carry secrets of children they've raised as siblings, even when they know 100% they're not their kids. It's their husband's child. They picked, I don't know from where. They brought home, they raised. And we never had the discussion of who is the father of this kid versus who is the father of this other kid.
Yeah.
And these are some of the things that I've seen. Even me and the home that I grew up in, it's not a conversation that was had. It's a conversation I eventually had with myself in my head. figuring out that I don't think my firstborn sister was my father's child. Either she's not my father's child, my mom came with her, or she's my father's child, my mom found her.
Yeah.
But there's a level of how my father treated her that I wouldn't say was similar to how he treated all the rest of us. Or the same way I know my father treated me very differently from the way he treated the brother that I followed. And I don't know what that conversation is. Until today, I've not been able to figure it out, because there's parts of my body features that are my mom's, and there's part of how I look is literally my father. I can't beat the allegations. So I don't know whether it's a predisposed hatred for something that happened before, or like you don't understand. There's many things you don't understand, but you just look and we never have this conversation. And for a long time, these were families. For a long time, when a family member died, kids were absorbed into the family naturally, and they grew up as siblings, as cousins, as the conversation of step sibling, stepmother was not a big conversation, right? And now people are trying to zero in a family to either a nuclear family or an extended family. Anything outside of that is not a family. And that is not realistic because, one, currently, a lot more people are learning to redefine families. A lot more people are leaving, are going, no contact with their parents because of how they're treated. And without taking away from what they've left behind is a family, what they create where they go is also a family. As a person who has proudly created a chosen family the last 7, almost 8 years now, first of all, it's very disrespectful and offensive that someone thinks the people that I have in my corner now are not my family, because the reason I had to create that family was because the family that I knew from birth was no longer family to me. And in fact, blood is not thicker than water. Blood is whatever it is, and water is whatever it is, and life goes on. And I've created that. And then when you think about it from that perspective, not only for queer people, because chosen family and queer people, that is a big concept, but chosen family and women is also a bigger concept. Chosen family and children who live their, nuclear families is a big concept, because children are living for many reasons. A plethora of, boomers and older who don't know how to take accountability for the harm they've caused their children. Children who have lived in the same homes with fathers who have been their abusers, both physical abuse and sexual abuse. And after they've grown up, they realize, I just gotta be out of here. And they leave and go. Men have always been the kind of people to disappear from their families and then come back when they're old and
they go to get the milk
and they're about to die.
Yeah.
Women, however, disappear and never look back.
It's true.
Because why am I going back to that? Yeah. Immediately a woman has a courage to leave a bad situation. They leave and they never look back. And so families in African context have meant so many things. They've meant so many things other than the one we are taught in school, the nuclear and the extended family. Family has meant so many things. And so not only is the whole family values conversation eroding what family
our
really
values
is,
yeah,
it has also contributed to how harmful families have become now. The harm that young children are experiencing now is because of the erosion caused by the conversation of family values. In an event where kids lose a parent, one parent, nobody wants to talk about whether the other parent was a safe parent or a harmful parent. They just want to speak about, but it's their biological father or it's their biological mother. And that's an interesting conversation, because what if the reason the kids were staying with the mother prior to the father's death was because there was some harm being caused? And what makes you think the harm will not be caused by that parent? As a child who was grown up receiving some levels of hatred from my own parents, in what world is it okay to contest that staying with my parents is a safe thing when it has never been a safe thing. And we don't want to have a conversation that family values includes family safety.
Yes, absolutely.
Family values is not just, oh, it is your family, protect it, take care of it. We are still speaking about family values where we're not talking about day in, day out. There's more cases of parents who are abusing children. There's more cases of fathers who are rapists and pedophiles to their own children. We are not speaking about, I don't like to call them marriages, child unions. Like you create something that you call a marriage with a child who is not even up to 18. And in what world is that a family to begin with for you to say the values are attached to that? It's not a family. And when you speak about it, even for our parents, even for us as millennials, I think the conversation I have with people in my circle, the jaw drops that happen when people realize, oh my goodness, that was abuse. Oh my goodness, that was not a normal thing to happen. Because we were so immersed into why that is normal that we didn't think that family and safety have to be one and the same thing. And if it's not safe, it's not family.
It's not family.
Yes.
As we wrap up, what strategies would you say for us as LGBTQ people, as femmes, women? What strategies should we employ to target the manosphere? Because it's a very dynamic movement, ever growing, and it often feels like we're lagging behind. What are some ideas that you would put forward for what we can do to tackle this ever growing problem?
I think the first one, my favorite one, is like piss the manosphere off. Piss, like in Ruto must go, piss Ruto off. In the manosphere, piss the manosphere off. Whoever you did, make it normal to piss your oppressor. Piss them completely off, that when they look at you, they feel disgusted. Because the thing about feeling disgusted about a person, two things will happen. Sadly, they'll probably eradicate you, or you will eradicate them. Because they'll notice there's many of you who hate me. Like, for example, you're going to the ballot next year. The only fear I have is people don't hate Ruto enough. We hate Ruto. At least I know people who hate Ruto as much as I hate Ruto. But I don't think we hate Ruto enough. And that is scary as hell going into an election. Because I'm scared of another 5. I don't know what I will do with that. And it's true. Personally, one of the ways in which I piss people off, I piss homophobes off, is I show up with my flag everywhere. Last week on Wednesday, I think, Harambee Starlets were playing in the final of a contest that they were part of. And I showed up with my flag. And the conversation of which is which happened because I was with my flag. The fun part is always queer people stopping by to hold the flag with you and say, hey. The not so fun part, people sit in terraces, and then there's that, fence, metal fence that is there that you're supposed to look into the field, but you can't cross it. And sometimes some people, because of how much they're paying attention to the game, they go and stand there. And I had come with my friend, we had gone to look, where is alcohol? We wanted to buy alcohol. And then we didn't find the people who were coming back. And my friend went and sat back where we were seated. And I decided to stand in line where people were standing to watch. But because the next terrace to where we were seated, these people had noticed, in fact, there's a time we passed and they started saying, hawa ni malele, hawa ni malele. Tell me why these people start throwing stones and bottles at me. And I look back and they tell me, toka unatuziba. In what world am I blocking one person blocking the whole terrace of people? In what world is it possible to block over 60 people from watching a match? One person I can understand. A person can complain and say, you're standing directly in front of me and I don't want to stand. I'll understand. Y'all are throwing stuff at me. But the funny part is, when you think of football, rugby, I'm trying to think which sports, handball, because I've played handball, basketball, most, if not all, players in those sports are queer people, especially women's sports. It's always queer women. And so I'm like, how does your brain not comprehend that you've come to support people like me, but somehow it's wrong for me to show up to support my people? with my flag. Because to it doesn't make sense. The same way it never made sense when we were doing Reject Finance Bill protests and I show up with my flag and someone asks me, this is not about gay people. I'm like, no, gay people are taxpayers, right? This is a statement to say we are gay, we are here, we pay taxes and we reject it and we're affected by the high taxing. In what world? Why can't people just... The intersectionality of issues, why can't you connect your problem to another person's problem? Because also violence, systemic violence happens because people are busy not connecting their oppression to other people's oppression. Like, I tell people all the time, some of the most extreme homophobia of experiences in the feminist spaces, because we have so many feminists who can't comprehend that women oppression and LGBTIQ oppression happens in the same space. Like, literally, what do you mean? How are you able to separate? Like, you understand your oppression, but you think my oppression, first of all, because I'm non-binary, okay, but like, if we go by the binaries of it all, I'm a woman, and the way I show up, and then somehow you're able to say, yes, you're a woman, but because you're gay, we don't share an oppression. What do you mean?
Because they're also homophobic. Well,
yeah, exactly.
It's a lot.
And it's important to have these stances because these stances allow us to be able to call, again, nonsensical ideologies, because what do you mean?
And I think it also helps us to concretize our movement.
Yeah.
You have to be really strict if you're actually going to move forward.
Oh, the program has to be really strict.
The program has to be super
very strict.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we allow leniency is when the movement starts to crumble.
It becomes a loophole easily.
Yeah, it does. Exactly.
And the thing about my other favorite thing I also like saying, the thing we don't realize about oppression and why religion is my favorite, not so favorite subject when it comes to oppression, is when you really think about it. Say, for example, currently in the human rights space, in the feminist space, we are scrambling for resources because there's very little resources and there's so much that needs to be done. What you don't realize is the opposition, which is mostly religion and religious outfits. Some of you are scrambling with us in the feminist space for money while you go and give money to the church. And so, one thing that the opposition has constantly and abundantly is money, because we stay keeping on giving them money. And personally, when I work with someone and I learn they're a Christian, I look for an alternative to give my money somewhere because I'm scared of giving you my money and then you go use my money to tithe in church. I don't want to tithe directly, indirectly, whichever formula you use, I don't want to tithe. Even paying taxes sounds crazy. The good thing is Ruto steals our taxes. So maybe he doesn't tithe, he steals our money. But like the thought of my money being used to pay for some of these things is a no-no for me, because in what world, as a gay person, am I tithing? Why am I funding my own oppression? And I tell people all the time, ask yourself, I'm not saying stop having a belief system. As a matter of fact, you can have even 10 belief systems. You can be going to 10 churches every Sunday and tithing and doing whatever. But also be honest, you are also facilitating your own violence. When you go back home and your neighbor attacks you, think of it from a point of the tithing is what gives the oppressor the power to speak against you.
To teach this person.
To teach this person. To enable your violence. And so somehow, there's a contribution to that. What can we do about it? And that's why abolitionist politics are the best politics in the world. Demolish the whole thing.
Yeah, let's start over.
Let's start from scratch.
No reform. Do not tell me reform anything.
We are not reforming anything. Let's demolish everything and then let's start.
Yeah.
It may sound like it's going to be a lot of work, but tell me a time we've not been doing a lot of work.
It is, yeah.
We've been doing a lot of work even with this dysfunctional system. So I'd rather we do a lot of work, but constructive work, than doing a lot of work and it's neither here nor there most of the time.
And the nature of humans is to work. I don't know, when we talk about these complex structures, why people feel like that's too much work. We spend all our time working and fighting.
We spend all our time working and fighting. And so if we already do that, we might as well fight and work in spaces that are progressive, that are constructive, that are sustainable. We're about to get to 2030. We were talking about sustainable development goals. I don't know what has become sustainable. I'm trying to see. Oh my goodness.
That thing is sustainable. And we were supposed to eliminate all forms of gender-based violence by 2026.
Where they've become more.
Things are getting worse. We need to talk about those.
I mean, Sustainable Development Goals was 2015, right?
Yes. Then there was an extension.
Femicide 2018. How have we gone from eliminating to adding more forms of violence?
Yeah, we're being really creative.
Yeah, we're being really creative. We're having more language, which I don't hate language, because the idea of language is it gives you more words to talk about different things, which is very important.
Yeah.
But like then, if more words that speak about violence are coming up, we need to talk. And I'm sorry, the conversation is not change this, change this. I don't want to say it here so that I look like I'm about to go commit arson somewhere.
Okay.
So let me just hold it at that.
And the conversation will keep going. But for now, thank you so much, Marylize, for joining us on the Feminist Spark podcast. I really enjoyed listening to you speak, and it's really prompted a lot of thoughts on my end as well. And I'm super grateful.
I'm glad to hear that. It's always a pleasure having personally, I like having conversations. I have a whole tattoo says, give me mind gazemes by going down on my thoughts. Because if you can't exercise my brain, you can't exercise anything in my body system. I love talking because I feel like talking, even like with us having this conversation, I'm sure there are nuances. The questions we're asking, I don't understand why someone would think like this. Maybe it's because they've never had an opportunity to have that conversation.
Exactly.
And putting them out there means more people can be able to actually conceive those ideas and then think about them and then have a stance, whether it's where they were before or somewhere different, but at least something.
Yeah. Thank you
so much.
And thank you so much for watching. See you on the next episode. Bye.